Today I am doing winter sowing, but specifically I am doing a winter sowing test. I want to know, do containers really matter in your winter sowing results? Now, I'm a big proponent of using the milk jug or the water jug, which is translucent and has worked really well for me. But many of you may not have access to these containers, so you may be looking for other alternatives. Now, I'm going to test out a few of the ones that are more popular in the Facebook winter sowing page. So I've chosen 4 different types and I'm growing 4 different seeds. They are all annuals. And I'm going to take this from sowing the seed all the way to the end to see how it actually does. So the first container is your traditional milk or water jug. And these are the ones that I prefer the most for winter sowing. But I also would like to find other alternatives. The second one is these shoe boxes. Now you can get these 10, I believe, at Walmart for like $11. And what I did is I already drilled holes on them, and I have a second one with holes as well. And what you want to do is put them together. So I'll be filling this up with soil, and then this will be the portion that the seedling can grow. So one of the things I want to make sure is that every single one of my containers holds 3, at least 4. I prefer 4 inches of soil, and then has that headroom for the seedling to grow. Now you could do the same thing as those shoe boxes with these like little salad containers, but you need 2 bottoms of the salad container. So you would just put one on top of the other, and now you've got your 3 to 4 inches where you can put the soil and the headroom and then tape it together. So the next one is a tote. And this is a little bit more pricey because you've got to invest in the tote. And this one, I think, was about $7, $8. I got it at Walmart. So it's not a cheap option. So generally, some tend to put like your seed trays in here. I don't really recommend that, and that's not what they recommend on the Facebook winter sowing page. What they recommend is typically like something like a solo cup, and those have some good amount of room. You want about 4 inches of soil. If not in these, you even want a little bit more than that, because with the smaller cup, it doesn't have a lot of soil around it. And so the soil is going to dry out a lot faster in these small little containers. So the more soil you have, so the deeper it is, it's going to retain the moisture a lot better in those containers. I am using just some cottage cheese and sour cream containers. These are about the height of a solo cup, and it should work just as well. So I've added drainage holes to the bottom of my cups. I've added drainage holes to the bottom of my tote, and also I added holes on the top lid to be able to let the rain and the snow in to water the little cups inside. And then the final method that I'm going to be testing out is the 1-gallon Ziploc baggie. However, I don't want to use a bag that has no structure to it. So after you put your soil in here and you put your seeds and you go to move it, your soil is going to move, and potentially the seeds are going to get disturbed. They're going to go deeper than they should. So many things I feel like can go wrong. If you need, I know I've seen it where they put some sort of dowel across it, and then you have to put it in a rigid container, right? Because otherwise it's just not sturdy enough to hold up if you're trying to move it around the yard. So there are other solutions to that I've seen, which is still using this gallon baggie, but then you take a flower pot. And many of us are hoarders, and we keep every flower pot that we get our hands on. So I have plenty of them. And I like this particular one because it's got a good diameter. Again, it's got enough room for at least 4 inches of soil. And let me show you in comparison to a milk jug. This is almost exactly the size of the inside of a milk jug, right? So that gives enough of that soil to be able to hold the moisture in it. I only want to use new package of seeds as well. I don't want to test it with old seeds, which a lot of times may have lost a lot of the germination rate and may have gone down. So we may not be as successful with that. So that's not part of the test. Everything is new seeds. So typically I use the Miracle Grow soil for my winter sowing, but I wasn't going to have enough soil for this test. And I went to Walmart and they had this soil on sale for $5 a bag, 1 cubic foot. And I decided I was going to do this one. So to be fair, I'm going to use this same potting soil in every single one of the containers so that we are not testing different soils, and hopefully the results are a little cleaner with the same soil for every single container. Right, so the first container I am doing are our traditional milk or water jugs, and I am putting straw flour and forget-me-not into this container, and then I'm going to do alyssum and cosmos in this container. All right, so I'll tape everything up at the end, and I'm going to continue with sowing the rest of the seeds, and it'll be these exact 4, and we'll keep moving on. All right, so I don't know if I recorded me sowing the seeds for the tote, but obviously it's the same as all of them. We've got alyssum, we've got forget-me-not. I believe I put only about 9 seeds each of the forget-me-not. And then the cosmos, I did 6 seeds of each. And then the straw flour, I have 3 containers because this is the one I want the most of. And that you cannot count them, they're not big enough. So the alyssum and the straw flour are just, sprinkled a bunch. This I probably overseeded. But to close, obviously, this container, this is the easiest one. We've just got this top that goes over it, snaps into place, easy to get to and water. Let's tape up the rest of them though. So for the flower pots, we want to put it inside the bag. These flower pots obviously have drain holes already. So I believe what they recommend is like a triangle. Maybe I'm making that too big, but I definitely want it to drain. And then one on the side, each side. There we go. So that gives us one large drainage hole on the bottom, two on the side. I hope that's enough though. I think I am going to make some slits just so that there's enough drainage. All right, so we want to zip the sides, and similar to our milk jug, we want to have a center opening to let the moisture in, to let it get air. I think I'm going to also do one there because I really don't want it to accidentally open. Yeah, so this is my concern, is that it could flop over. So if we get snow, it would crush. So you do have to be, I guess, vigilant on this one. So now everything is outdoors. It is in a back area of my garden where it does receive morning sun till about noon, 1 p.m. It usually starts getting shaded at noon, especially when the warmer temperatures start to come and the sun position changes. So this is where they're going to remain for the most part. It might move them around in this area, but this is a shady area. And I have a lot of other winter sowing I'm doing for annuals, but I'm going to be starting those next week in March. And yeah, so we'll track these to see how they're doing and how successful are we with these different methods. It is April 18th, and these are the tested winter sowing containers. So we'll start with the milk jugs, and everything looks great. The cosmos, the alyssum, forget-me-nots are sporadic, not too many there, and the straw flower looks fantastic. So very similarly, the shoebox is exactly the same. Got a good alyssum, good straw flower, good cosmos, but barely any forget-me-nots. So don't know if it has something to do with the forget-me-not, because that is the theme here. So in the plastic bags with a pot inside, we've got cosmos. So there's a few less, and not all are large. Some of them are much better in the other containers. Again, forget-me-nots, very few germinated. And then the alyssum and the straw flower did wonderfully in this. Now, a lot of these are sort of more cool flowers, so I didn't test with some more warmer weather type, other than I guess the cosmos kind of are. But again, this is the tote with these smaller containers. Now, I did have to water this several times because these cups did dry out several times, whereas the other ones were fine with just the rain. We did get a lot of moisture this year, but they did really, really well. So yeah, so I watered this one, but yeah, same thing. Alyssum looks great. Cosmos look great. The straw flowers all coming in. This one's a little sporadic. I don't know why. And then forget-me-nots once again. So I don't think that has anything to do with the containers, because that is the issue with every single one of them. And then this is the salad containers, the bottoms together, so replicating the shoebox container without having to buy the shoebox. So this is free. So we've got the cosmos going here, we've got the alyssum here. There's not as many straw flowers in here, so that didn't do quite as well. And the forget-me-nots are exactly the same as all the other ones. Very, very little germination there. And these are the milk jugs, and this is cosmos all budding up. Then we've got the alyssum looking really beautiful. Then we have some Chinese forget-me-not, and don't know if any more germinated since the last time. But then we have the straw flower, that's the dwarf straw flower. Everything looks great in the milk jugs, doing beautiful. And here's the other method, which is the pot, the flower pot inside of a Ziploc bag. And I know mostly some people put just inside the Ziploc bag, but I really wanted some structure so that you can, you know, move it and not disturb the roots. And this worked out perfectly. I mean, I love this method because it's easy to open up the bag when I need to air it out, easy to close it back up. Once again, if they get really tall, that's going to be a challenge. Yeah, the cosmos, the forget-me-nots, see, the forget-me-nots are very consistent where only a few germinated, and that's okay. Then we've got the straw flower and the alyssum. Alyssum is budding up in here. Anyways, yeah, everything is looking great, and I am loving these other alternatives. Now for the shoebox version, this is the actual shoebox that I made holes at the bottom and then put the other shoebox on top. And then this, I created the same type of container, but using the bottoms of the salad. So a bottom for the bottom and then a bottom for the top. And May 1st, everything looks great. Same as the milk jugs. They are budding up, the cosmos. Then we've got the straw flower, forget-me-not, and the alyssum, which is now blooming in here. Same over here. The alyssum is blooming. The straw flower looks great. And here, the forget-me-nots, you know, there's only like 3 or 4 in this one, but I don't think it has anything to do really with the container. It might be just the seeds and the conditions. I'm not really 100% sure, but that's looking pretty good. So here is the results on the tote, and this has the individual cups. This is about the size of one of those solo cups. And everything looks great. 3 of them germinated in here. There's a 4th one that sort of started coming up, but the ones that did come up are budding up. So both of the cups look great. This one actually had a better germination on it. Then these are the straw flowers. That's the forget-me-not. The forget-me-not was pretty consistent, that I just didn't get a lot of germination on everything. And then here is the alyssum, and this one is budding up. So actually everything except for the milk jug for the alyssum is budding up. So overall, I do think that I was wrong, and that I want to now possibly start winter sowing in different containers, because sometimes it's a little hard to come by some of those milk and water jugs. So yeah, I like this, but I think what I like more is this, the shoebox, or even more this salad container, because I actually do get several of these throughout the year. I just may not have enough for winter sowing, and that's where this can supplement as well as this. And I feel like with the tote, at least, when you have to take off the lid or put it back on at night, this one is very convenient, other than if it got really, really tall. So yeah, use what you have and what you can get your hands on. Again, just follow the rules of winter sowing, which is you want at least 4 inches of soil in your container, and you want to have enough headroom to allow the seedlings to grow, which I would say about 3 inches is enough, but I like to give it a little bit more. And if you're using a tote with the smaller type of containers like the solo cups, you do need to be a little bit more vigilant and make sure that they don't dry out. And like I said, I did actually have to water these several times, whereas the other ones I didn't water quite as much. I think maybe once on some of the other containers, but this one I definitely did on several occasions. But you know, it's super easy to open it and get to your containers. So I hope that was helpful for you, and you can now winter sow in various different containers and still have a lot of success. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.